Hey guys, you're watching Let's Talk About Prepping. I'm Tyler, your host, and in this video, we're going to talk about how being grumpy old men will likely get a lot of us killed when the SH is the F. Now, as people get older and deal with some of the harsh realities of life, it's pretty natural to become a little bit calloused, and men are pretty good at that. In fact, many of us seem to enjoy becoming gruff and surly and just sort of calloused and tough to the exterior, no matter how soft and nice we are on the inside. This is generally fine because society understands it, and we can generally just demand that things be our way around us, and people sort of compensate and get by, because in today's world, everybody's selfish, and we have the room for that, because we've set up the world for everybody to just take care of their own self-centered needs, and just deal with each other from that perspective. But in a lot of different situations, like in grid down situations where you have a tight-knit group that relies strongly on each other, that deals with a lot more stress and involvement than people do in today's society, that kind of interpersonal tension will not be so easy to sweep aside, especially not for people who feel that they're not being listened to and that their needs or even rights are being ignored. Now, in drastic circumstances where survival is on the line and people are being forced to dramatic ends, it's easy to think that because you are in a position of authority, because you have the resources, that it will simply make sense for you to have absolute authority. Unfortunately, this will not be a perspective that will be shared with people in your group, especially if you are socially open to other people approaching you with differences in opinion. One of the main problems with grumpy old men like myself is that we're pretty set in our ways, and we tend to disagree with people outright because they disagree with us. Whether or not we tend to be right, and I'll admit many preppers are indeed smart people who know what they're talking about, but whether or not you're right about what you're talking about, it's important to be fair in how you disagree with people and how you tell them that their way is not the way that it will go. Mutiny will be a very real concern, perhaps one of the largest concerns for preppers and prepper groups in a stressful, grid-down situation where communities of people are forced to band together and rely strongly upon each other. I worry that some people in this community will rely on the fact that they were prepping and will have the authority because of that fact in the grid down situation to command respect. And I do not think that the simple fact that a person was a prepper before something happened will be enough to convince other people to set aside their emotional or logical differences with you to simply let you run things the way that you see fit, especially if they believe that the way that you run things will eventually lead to the deaths of themselves or their family members. It's very important to ask yourself what you would do if you disagreed with the leader of a group who had all the resources and who said that things will be their way or the highway, but who you believed was making foolish decisions and would eventually lead things to ruin. And you didn't feel that you had good chances leaving that group and that you had somewhat of a right to try to influence the way that things were happening there to stay and to make things go a way that you thought they should go. Now, if you were absolutely certain that that person was doing things the wrong way, what actions might you take to protect your family and the other members of your group? Now, you must ask yourself that whether or not you are in the absolute right with any decision, if you are forcing other people to make those kinds of decisions in the background without your knowledge. Communication is absolutely vital, and in a stressful group dynamic situation, failures of communication can quickly lead to lethal mutiny even amongst people who you think are friends and even family, because when it comes down to it, if they believe that you and them have a difference of opinion that could lead to death, there is no degree of personal identification that will keep them from seeing you as a threat. That is why I believe that being gruff, grumpy, unopen to conversation, and simply believing that other people are wrong and letting them know that could and very well will lead to mutinous situations that will be deadly to the prepper in a lot of situations. So I think that it's very important to ask yourself if you are standoffish, if you are unopen to communication, and if other people around you see you as somewhat foolishly better than everybody else. Because that is exactly the kind of mentality that will make people feel okay about putting a knife in your back if they feel that your way will end up causing them hardship or death in a situation where. Anyways, I hope that this was interesting. I hope it's some food for thought for some of you guys. Hope you're all doing well. Everybody stay safe out there.